Deirdre.
Well, thank you all so much for having me here. I'm delighted to be here, and I feel like I'll learn as much from everyone that's here as I can possibly impart. But my leadership, my answer to this question really is to talk to you about my efforts to free somebody after 19 years of wrongful incarceration, and what I learned in the process. And I guess I should start out, because I was introduced as a public defender, to let you know that I left the public defender's office in 2003 after my daughter was born. I was looking for something that gave me a little bit more balance and to have more time with my daughter. And that evolved from working at home as an appellate lawyer to teaching at law school in Atlanta, to learning about firsthand the plight of innocent people being wrongfully incarcerated, and evolving into forming a nonprofit called Innocence Matters, and that's what I do now. I'm the executive director for Innocence Matters. But I guess I wanted to preface the remarks by saying that what I learned from this experience, and I feel like I'm a work in progress, I'm telling you something at the age of 51 that I did as a leader, at least since I'm trying to consider it as a form of leadership. And I feel like I have so much more to learn about what it means to be a leader. But I thought that what I'm aware of is that there seems to be three real truths that are prevalent in my mind about this leadership experience. And first is, you have to give yourself the permission to follow the passion. You have to find it's in you, whatever it is, whatever the passion is there, and you just have to let it show itself to you. And then once you give yourself the permission to follow that passion, the opportunity to do the work that you want to do will present itself almost magically. And then I learned that once you engage yourself in this work, that inevitably there will be challenges. And these challenges, because you had all that magic just a moment ago, and then those challenges will feel like, geez, should I really do this? But they're wonderful opportunities if you allow yourself to see those challenges along the way while you're pursuing your passion as an opportunity to learn what you need to know to be the most effective leader possible. That's just a wonderful moment for you, a learning moment for you. And then the last thing that I've learned, and this is a tough one for me, was that at the end of the day, it's all beyond your control. You know, that whatever is going to happen from your efforts is defined by so many things beyond your control, and all you can do is bring to the table the best and most that you have, the willingness to learn along the way, and just to put it all out there, and then trust that whatever happens is exactly how it was supposed to happen. So in December of 2009, I was contacted by a gentleman named John Smith. He called me on the phone, and I was really ripe for the opportunity to grab hold of a case that I could call my own, that was an innocence case, because I had just been involved in the Troy Davis case from 2007 to 2000, really up until his death in 2011. I was trying hard in my capacity as an amicus attorney, which is a friend of the court. I'm not his attorney, but I'm trying to help. I'm trying to file briefs that are supportive of what his attorneys are doing. And I had learned about his case when I was in Atlanta teaching a clinic for law students who wanted to learn how to try cases, and I was running a third-year law student clinic. And I learned about his case, and I got very invested in the case, and it consumed me because I believed he was factually innocent. And I did everything I could to help him, and at the end of the day, and so many other people did. I don't want to make this my story, because Troy Davis touched so many people. And at the end of the day, it wasn't enough, because they executed him in 2011. But they executed him with a lot of people believing he was factually innocent. So when John Smith called in December of 2009, I was looking for that case where I could take hold of it, and I could say, you know what, I could take whatever I know from all those years of trial work as a public defender and put it to good use and help this innocent person. And I had no reason to know when John called that he was factually innocent, but something about it, whether it was intuition or whatever, made me think that this was the opportunity that I had just set before me. By claiming this desire, I had set this before me, and he came, And it just evolved. As I learned more about his case, I took it on basically pro bono, saying, okay, well, I'll get some information about the case and see if I can develop it, and then give your case to somebody who has the resources to take it on full time, because I didn't. At the time, I was just trying to start a private practice and piece together an income as a single mom, and I didn't see myself having the capacity to go long term. But I took it on, and once I took it on, things magically appeared. I tell you, this idea of Innocence Matters was a figment of my imagination. I had been using that name. I had a website, but it didn't exist. There was no nonprofit. There was nothing. And then when John called me, it pushed me to develop those. And I asked a few friends, one of whom is in the audience, if she would serve as a board member, and we became incorporated, and suddenly we were an organization. We had our first client, we were an organization, and then this law student from Philadelphia called and said, gosh, I'd really love to volunteer my summer and spend time with your wonderful organization that just got formed. And we worked really hard throughout the summer, developed evidence of his innocence, and filed a brief that was 100 and some odd pages with the assistance of many other interns who miraculously appeared when needed. And then we sat back, that was October 2010, and we thought, geez, you know, just a couple months maybe, and this guy's out. It didn't turn out to be a couple of months. There was a lot of work that had to be done to convince the right people to do the right thing. And we were very fortunate in that we had very good people on the other side looking at it hard and with a lot of integrity and doing their own investigation. But for me, there were a lot of challenges. There were financial challenges, sustainability challenges, things that went beyond what I thought I was capable of sustaining over a long period of time. And I thought for a moment that I'd have to bail, that I'd have to give John's case to someone else, because I needed to take care of my own personal interests and my family. And I thought long and hard about it and persisted, because I believed in the goal that I set for myself and for John. I was dedicated to his case. And we got to the other side of it, where the DA agreed in the merits of our position and conceded the position. And along the way, Troy Davis in 2011, September 21st, 2011, Georgia finally executed him. And that was at the same time that I was experiencing all this doubt about, did I have the capacity to see John Smith's case through? And it was devastating for me, because I felt that there were, you know, I interpreted the challenges as messages that I shouldn't persist. And I went ahead and continued, because it's, you know, it seemed to be that despite the challenges, that there were lessons that I needed to learn, ways in which I needed to strengthen myself to be able to meet the challenges that lie ahead. And since being able to get through that very difficult time and continue with John's case, and since John's exoneration, we've had other opportunities to help other people. Many other people have contacted us. And I know that I'm on the path, and I'm so grateful for the experience that I've had, both with Troy Davis, as unfortunate as the ending for that was, and certainly with John Smith, because I think that I've learned a great many lessons in that. And that's my story of leadership that I wanted to share with you guys.
Thank you. And this was a time, Deirdre, when, am I not mistaken, that there was this field was emerging as a new field, and you were an important player in it. But with Barry Scheck and different really people across the country. But this is only the last 10 or 15 years that it's been so organized, is it not?
Well, yeah, Barry Scheck is really the leader of the innocence movement, and I always, whenever I talked about Barry in a class, people were like, Barry who? But he's really, in some circles, very well known, and he's just this wonderful person who has taken these DNA cases and has been able to show with DNA evidence that we have gotten it wrong in our criminal justice system, and people have suffered for many, many years, sometimes decades, before they're exonerated. And the challenge now is to take the lessons of the DNA cases and apply it to non-DNA cases, because the vast majority of criminal convictions do not involve biological evidence capable of DNA testing. So we're trying to see what were the failures in the DNA cases that we could use to evaluate the likelihood of accuracy in the non-DNA cases.
So we see the emergence here of themes about passion, and then a curious one, being ready to accept the things you can't control. It's very interesting.